For this region module, we're going to talk here a little bit about empiricism's role in public policy. And this is really to get you thinking so that later on when you work on your social science thinking assignment, you'll have a little bit of a bearing in what you are to do there. So first, let's just start off sort of recapping what we know about the social sciences. We know that social science is empirical, and we know that empiricism tries to be systematic and based on observation. And that's what makes it different from anecdote and opinion, in that it's always looking to what the observations tell us about the world. And it tries to do that in a systematic manner that detaches itself from what we want to see in the world. And of course, using that observation, it looks for relationships, it looks for explanations, it seeks to build broader theories that help us to get a deeper understanding of the world. So if we think about it like this, empiricism is sort of the basis for a scientific language that's used in all of the sciences. And it's not just the social sciences. This, of course, applies to the natural sciences as well. That's a language, the empirical language, is one that's observational and systematic and remains detached and strives as much as it possibly can to be free of bias and opinions and the problems associated with anecdote. So we can conclude from this idea of empiricism being a language of science that the observations that are being used to draw conclusions about the world are unbiased, or as unbiased as they possibly can be. Now, of course, this is important because we're trying to describe and explain a very complicated world that's often rife with bias. Bias and opinion and prejudice about things are things that are inherent to the nature of humanity. And so often when we try to understand the world, we bring those things with us. But what science tries to do is find ways to answer problems about the world in an unbiased way, and then ultimately to suggest solutions that are going to be unbiased as well. So we can apply this in the so-called real world by trying to appreciate that what social science is what I've called here a best practice for understanding and solving problems. And because social science is this best practice for understanding and solving problems, because it's trying to be unbiased and because it's trying to be detached, we should, in my opinion, consider very strongly that public policy should always be informed by social science and by empirical evidence. That's what its best use is in sort of a societal way. To take all this information that's out there and find a way to use this detached language of science to solve problems and then find solutions to those problems as well. Now note that in what I just said, I said that public policy should be informed by social science and empiricism, not dictated by it. And of course, while science strives to be bias-free, it often fails. And there are many situations where that's the case, and that's something we're actually going to explore in a little bit more detail in the next region module. What are some of the limits of empiricism? But that being said, empiricism and social science is a much stronger alternative than basing public policy solely on opinion, relying only on what we think is the case about the world rather than what we are able to study and try to understand about what we can really know about the world using the systematic evidence. This is important in my opinion because as citizens informed about empiricism and science, it really becomes our duty to ask about any public policy. Is it based on the empirical evidence? Is that social science sound? Is it really solving a problem, what it's supposed to be doing? This is what we should be asking as citizens, and this is what we should be learning as well in a social science class like this. So in some ways, this doesn't bring to a complete conclusion, but it brings to a partial conclusion of what I started very early in the semester asking, why is it that we are in social science GER in the first place. And I think that this is one of the really important reasons why. This idea that empiricism and social science can be an incredibly powerful tool in public policy. And as citizens who vote on issues that have to do with public policy all the time, we should be really demanding that politicians who set these public policies are using empiricism and the sciences in order to come up with these policies.